Hello everyone, my name is ZoeDplayer. I'm a ZoeDP, yep, who would have guessed. This is going to be the Season 14 full-on guide about Zoe. I am a Challenger ZoeDP since Season 13, and now Season 14 again, we hit Challenger once again. I promised you guys that I would make a guide once we got Challenger Season 14. So yeah, this is gonna be it. So buckle up, it's going to be a good one. So first of all, let's start with the runes, okay? Rules play a huge role when it comes to your chances of winning and losing the game, alright? You need to decide what runes you want to take from Champ Select, like once everybody has picked their champions and you have rocked in Zoe. You look at enemy team camp and you judge which runes you're gonna take in order to have the most effective rune page against their specific champions. In my opinion, from what I have been using this season, and I'm going to explain why this is, I have been using these two rune pages, one rune page. I have been using this rune page, especially for tempo, which we're going to dive in later, and the second rune page, which is the rune page that you will be going against burst, because as we said, Zoe is an immobile burst mage, so if the enemy champions have a lot of burst into their kits, this rune page is going to help you with that. So now, for the first rune page, the tempo rune page. This rune page consists of Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Ghost Poro, and Genius Hunter. From Inspiration Tree, meaning Dematerializer, Cosmic Insight, and you would go Adaptive and double scaling health, okay? So, out of your main keystone, I always go Electrocute, always. I never go any other runes. Predator and Hail of Blades are out of the table completely. Not good synergy with Zoe at all. Dark Harvest has decent synergy with Zoe, but it is not consistent enough in order to make sure that you're going to have the highest of chances to proc it, stack it, and winning the game, right? It is just not consistent enough to take in rank, especially into higher MMRs. In low elo, this can work. Like if you are from, let's say, Iron all the way up to Platinum, I can see this rune page working, but from, let's say, Diamond 2 and above, Electrocute is just going to be more consistent and it will be much more useful in most cases. So, for the second tree, Sudden Impact. The reason why I always prefer to go Sudden Impact instead of Taste of Blood, while yes, there are some matchups which will help have an easier time with Taste of Blood for the extra laning sustain, but I find that Sudden Impact just has like one of the such good synergy with Zoe Ultimate, because Zoe Ultimate is basically on a really low cooldown anyways. So basically every time you have your ultimate available, you will always have your Sudden Impact available for that extra magic penetration and lethality. Also, because you're playing Zoe character, there is a 100% chance that in every single game you're going to pick up a flash and you're going to use that flash from your opponents. So because of that, flash is a blink, right? So you're gonna grab the flash, and when you flash, you activate Sudden Impact. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's why I just beloved Sudden Impact, and I always take this rune into every single game. Even though there are matchups where Taste of Blood will be better, there are ways, there are other alternatives in order to survive those matchups that I'm going to talk about later. So yeah, that's why I always go Sudden Impact on the second tree over here. Now, for the third one, Ghost Poro. Why do I always take Ghost Poro? Well, I go Ghost Poro in every single game because of consistency. If you want to have the most control into the game, the most consistent, if you want to have the most control into your every single game, which mainly consists of vision control and controlling of over areas, Ghost Poro is really good at that, because it helps you, especially in higher MMRs and especially during the early game, to spot out junglers and supports that are trying to gank you. Not only to protect yourself, but to also help your teammates play around that information and use that information in their advantage and in your advantage, of course. Yes, eyeball collection, it can be really useful. Especially, as I said, in lower elos, because in low elos there's a lot of killing and people are not really good at ending the game fast because they don't know how to do that. Eyeball collection can be useful, you get to stack it really fast, but in higher MMRs, the most consistent way in order to make sure that you will always have the most out of your runes, Ghost Poro is just the best alternative from these three options. So, for the last option out of the domination tree, the reason why we got Genius Hunter out of any other options is because in Genius Hunter has a lot of value with your build, which with the items that you're gonna be using, which we will talk about later, and it has really good value with Ghost Poro, really good synergy, because guess what? It decreases your cooldown of your trinkets. So you get to put more yellow trinkets out on the map, so you get more Ghost Poro value, and it also helps you stack it faster, which in return you're going to get your adaptive damage much faster, right? So really good synergy between these two runes. Plus, Genius Hunter has like an insane synergy with the build that I will recommend you guys in just a second. So now for this rune page, as I said, this is going to be the tempo rune page. So like these three, you go every game. I got these options from the domination tree every single game. There is no way I'm changing any of that, me personally. If you like to go for Eyeball Collection and change this for Taste of Blood, go ahead. This is just what I use in every single game, which I find the most consistent and most powerful. So now, because this is the Tempo rune page, we're going to be going for the Inspiration tree. And why is that? Tempo means that you have an advantage on the map. Have you pushed your wave first than your opponent? Are you out in the map first than your opponent? That is tempo advantage. And if your opponent has pushed his wave first and you're stuck under your tower pushing a wave while he's out there taking control over the map, you are in a bad tempo. Or elsewhere, if you have just killed someone, let's say you solo kill your enemy laner, okay, he dies, and when he dies he has like a 3-4 second cooldown death, and he respawns, and because of that he spawns in his base and he gets to get out in the map faster than you, because if you kill someone early on, you have to recall, which recall is 8 seconds, and even if you recall instantly for those 8 seconds, your enemy laner will always have a tempo advantage because the death timers are really low, especially during the early game, so he will always have the first move on the map, which is basically what tempo is all about. So minion dematerializer, you go minion demat, because especially into some really bad matchups, minion dematerializer is going to help you get some tempo advantage, and even if you're getting poked out a lot and chunked, you get to use your minion dematerializer on the cannon wave to get the tempo advantage for you to recall and get back out in the map faster, and yeah, that's all about this. Plus, it helps a lot with wave clear. Let's say there is a scenario where you're rushing your tier 2 boots, either that's going to be like Sorks or Mercs. If you do not have enough money to buy an amplifying tone or a dark seal, let's say, to get that extra ability power, most usually you're not going to have enough ability power to wave clear if you don't have minion dematerializer. Like, let's say you're level 9 with tier 2 boots and you haven't bought any ability power, you're most likely not wave clearing really fast. Especially like if you're level 7, level 8, like if you're around those levels and you haven't bought an ability power yet, wave clearing becomes a big issue. And why is wave clearing really important, you might say? Because, as I said earlier, tempo. Because of tempo, if you clear your wave first from your enemy opponent, you have a tempo advantage. So that's why minion dematerializer is good with that, because even if you haven't bought any AP and you have rushed, like let's say tier 2 boots plus you bought a refillable and you don't have enough money to buy dark sword or some amplifying tones, minion dematerializer is going to help you. It's going to help your abilities deal more damage to the wave, which in return helps you get your tempo advantage. Now, how you use minion dematerializer? I personally use minion dematerializer on every single type of minion, which is 1 on casters, 1 on melees, and 1 on cannons. And yeah, that's all about why minion dematerializer is good into the tempo rune page. So now, Cosmic Insight. You go Cosmic Insight, yes, you will have your flash faster, which is always nice, but mainly you want Cosmic Insight because you're going to be running Teleport. As I said, this is going to be the tempo rune page, and Teleport helps a lot with tempo. Let's say you are in a bad matchup and you're getting poked out or you're getting chunked a lot and you need to base. If you have Ignite or Exhaust or any other summon spell, your opponent will have a massive tempo advantage over you, and you're going to lose a lot of gold, experience, etc. So that's why you would go Teleport into the matchups that we're going to talk about later. And Cosmic Insight just helps reduce that massive cooldown of the Teleport. And on top of that, it gives you that 10 extra item haste, which is really good with like the items that we're going to talk about later. So with this rune page, you're getting item haste from both Ingenious Hunter and your Cosmic Insight, which is massive into the builds that I will recommend you very soon. So for the last part of this rune page, and I always go non-adaptive, even on the other rune page, the anti-burst rune page. You always wanna go adaptive. Here you go double scaling health, because Zoe is a really squishy immobile burst mage, and having the double scaling health makes you a lot more tankier. Not resistant wise, but mostly the more HP that you will have into late game helps you a lot, because when you are in the late game, like in the transition between mid game to late game, let's say you're level 11 and above, your base stats, armor and MR start to become a lot more higher than early game. So having the extra health makes you a lot more resilient against burst, because you don't have you're not running any other options here on this rune page to help you survive. So going for the extra double health scaling is going to help you scale into the late game much easier without getting bursted and killed as easy. So yeah, there you go. This is the tempo rune page. So now let's move on to the rune page that you would want to go against burst. So if you find and if you judge that the enemy team overall has a lot of burst damage, like they have assassins, they have a lot of burst mages, you judge that they cannot easily proc your bond plating, like let's say if they have an Ezreal, if they have a Xerath, champions like that with long range poke, Ashe, Varus. If they don't have those type of champions, bond plating has massive value. And if they also have an assassin, it becomes such an OP rune choice. So yeah, in this is the rune page that would go against burst. You would go resolve, bond plating into overgrowth with double scaling health. Everything else is the same, nothing else changes. As I said, +9 adaptive, the domination tree is the same, and this makes sure that you have the most tools to fight back against that burst, against assassins and against burst mages. If they have let's say they have 2 assassins and they have a burst mage, let's say you're playing against Fizz mid lane and they also have like a Talon jungle, this rune page has massive value. I hope you get the idea behind why this rune page has so much value into high burst. Because in those type of matchups, you do not need the extra tempo from the other rune page, from the Mini Dematerializer Cosmic Insight, because with this rune page, you're not going to be running teleport. With this rune page, you're going to mainly be running exhaust. Yes, you heard me right. Exhaust. This is the new page that you want to be taking against high burst characters. Let's say Katarina, Akali, Fizz, Assassin, Talon, Kiana, Zed, like those type of matchups. This rune page is what you're going to be running with exhaust. I know a lot of players will call me cringe for that, but in this season you do not need to get a lot of ability power in your runes, specifically because the items themselves give you enough damage and burst in order for you to not need any other ability power, or like not as much ability power from your runes. So as you can see in both of those rune pages, in this rune page and on this rune page, I'm only getting adaptive force from this, the +9 adaptive, and from my ghost poro. I'm not getting any other adaptive raw ability power from any other source. Yes, I'm getting damage from electric and sudden impact, but I'm talking about AP, raw ability power. And yeah, that is going to be for the 2 rune pages that I find in this season have the most value. The reason most of you guys will ask me why don't go Aerie, why I don't go the sorcery tree. I find that this season sorcery tree, especially on Zoe champion, has lost so much value, mainly because the new items give you enough ability power and burst and damage by themselves, and you don't need to run the sorcery tree to have the extra ability power that it provides you and the poke, because Zoe is a burst mage. You want to burst down targets, you don't want to poke down targets. You're not playing a poke champion, you're playing a burst champion. You land your spells on someone, you burst them down, they're dead. That's her identity. If you have guys any questions onto the runes, I will be glad to answer them in the comments. So let's move on into the items, which is another big part of this guide. Items. As I said, you're looking. These are the items that I have been building and find most consistent with the highest damage output, while a lot of survivability and you have a lot of survivability and stuff. So for your core items, you're always going to be running Ludans. First item, no matter what, you want the mana and you want the CTR, you want the ability power it provides you, plus its passive is a really good wave clear tool. So Ludans is a perfect item for Zoe. You want to go this as a core in every single game. Yeah, there's no other first item better option for Zoe, in my opinion. So for boots, you would either go Sark boots. As I said, as you can see here, this is the most consistent build that you want in every single game, ideally. But there are alternative options. Like, let's say for boots, if you mainly wanna build Sark boots, but if the enemy team has a lot of crowd control and magic damage, Mercury threads are going to be more valuable than Sark boots in that specific scenario. Now, for your second item, you would always want to go Horizon Focus. The vision it provides and the percentage damage that it provides is really good, and it also helps you deal a little bit more damage against tankier opponents like tanks and bruisers and stuff, which is really nice. It gives you a lot of ability power and ability haste with both of those stats Zoe loves and likes, and especially into higher MMRs, the vision control that Hypershot provides, its passive, is massive, really helpful. Yeah, if you want an alternative on this item, as if you don't want to build Horizon Focus second item, you can also go Lichbane. If you, let's say you are really ahead and you want to buy a stronger item, which will help you snowball the game faster, to end the game, let's say around 25 to 30 minutes, you would want to go Lichbane, which provides a lot more ability power, movement speed, ability haste, 3 stats that Zoe loves and really likes, and it has really good synergy with Zoe's passive, because on Zoe you always want to be auto-attacking always between your spells, so that passive is massive. The Spellblade passive on Lichbane is really good. So now, for your magic penetration options, you wanna go Crypt Bloom. It gives a lot of ability power, 30% magic penetration damage, and 15% ability haste. Those are 3 stats that Zoe really likes. Zoe is a champion with really high AP ratios. Zoe has a 150% AP ratio in her Q and a 90% AP ratio on her E. That does true damage and also reduces magic penetration. And sorry, it also reduces magic resist. So the more AP you have on the character, the more damage output you wanna have. But what you're looking for is not only raw power. What you're looking for in stats is a variety of them. So let's say you want you want a lot of ability power, but if ability power is the only thing that you're getting out of your items, it's not going to be as useful. You're not going to be as useful and consistent, and you're not going to be as useful for your team as well. So ability power, magic penetration, and ability haste, really good stats from Crypt Bloom, and the Light from Death passive, which heals your allies and yourself, is really good, because let's say you're in a team fight, you snipe their support, you kill them, and the healing passive heals you, heals your allies, you turn around the fight, and you win the game, you win the objective, etc. Now, for your defensive item options, these are the core items you want to be building, in every single game. When you finish those items, you need to build defensively in order to survive. So you either go Zonias, which is the most powerful one, but if you're Zonias, you would most likely want to go against champions that have a lot of CC, that can CC you really easily, like Nautilus, Leona, Alistar, like those type of champions, and assassins and burst mages. Zonias is going to have more value. If you're against a lot of poke and a lot of ability power users, if you're against, let's say, something like a Nocturne and stuff like that, or Elise, like Banshee's Veil has a lot more value with the magic resist and the spell seed passive. It's gonna have more value if you wanna build it instead of Zonias. As I said, those are alternative options. You can either choose between Banshees, Zonias, but the most powerful one, in my opinion, is Zonias, because there are a lot more situations where Zonias is going to be more helpful, especially like, let's say you're walking into a bush, which is not worded, you're first checking it and there are 2 enemy champions there, you can just instantly press Zonias and you can survive. But if you had Banshee's Veil, you will most likely just proc your passive with a random ability and then they will kill you anyways. So yeah, that's why I believe Zonias is a stronger item overall than Banshee's Veil. But Banshee's Veil is a lot more situational, it has more value against specific characters and specific enemy team comps. So yeah, keep that in mind. And for your last item, you always wanna go Death Cap in power, so it increases your entire ability power, provides a lot of ability power, really good item. You wanna be building it as a last item always. So yeah, that's going to be it for the items. As I said while I was explaining the runes, Ingenious Hunter has massive value with this rune page because it decreases every single cooldown from this build. It decreases the recharge time of Ludans, it decreases the cooldown of your Hyper Shot, it decreases the cooldown of Creep Bloom, it decreases the cooldown from Zonias and Banshee's Veil, and it also decreases the cooldown of your wards, of course, which it has massive value with this build. These are the best and most consistent Zoe items at the moment with their alternatives. It also decreases, as I said, if you want to go Lichbane, it decreases the passive of Spellblade, which is massive, and yeah, just it is an insane build. It provides you with a lot of stats that Zoe loves, and the fact that Ingenious Hunter exists in the game and it decreases all of those items' cooldowns is massive. It's super strong. It's really good. Really good. So yeah, let's now move into matchups. So this is a tier list that I have made about Zoe matchups, from the free matchups into the terrible matchups you're going to be facing against. There are some champions over here that could go mid lane, but you don't see those champions consistently enough in order to put them on the list, so I'm just going to exclude them. So yeah, let's begin from the terrible matchups all the way to the top. Terrible matchups, Akali. Terrible matchup. While yes, you can have the advantage early on once she gets level 6, here the interaction between her RE is really hard for you to dodge, especially if you don't have flash. You can never side lane against Akali. Even if you're running like Exhaust, Bone Plating, if she has an item advantage over you, you can't do anything, she kills you anyways. The Shroud is really strong against you because, let's say, even if you land Yori on her and she shrouds, she will always, you will not be able to auto-attack her, which is massive. Like, yes, you will get your Q damage off, but not being able to auto-attack her instantly afterwards, it decreases your DPS a lot more because you don't your electrocute as fast and as consistently. So terrible matchup, really bad, especially with Akali players going teleport, fleet, D-Shield, they become unkillable. So it's really rough. Yone, one of the other worst matchups for Zoe, especially because of the Yone interaction between his Z and Yori. If he is on top of you, and you cannot really throw Yori at him because you can never CC him. Once you throw your sleep at him while he has his Z active, he will just snap back. He will just snap back his Z and he will not get crown controlled. And it is a really hard matchup because whenever he has Tornado, he's going to be jumping on top of you with E. Really good. He has no mana champion, so he can just spam his spells, get Tornado every 3 seconds, dash on top of you, kill you over and over again. And you can never throw Yori at him because he snaps back into his Z and you can't CC him. Really terrible matchup, especially once he gets his item spikes. Really bad. Now for Naafiri, really bad matchup. You can never really kill Naafiri in lane. You cannot really land your spells into Naafiri, although because of her wolves, right, her dogs, you can never really land your main Q damage on her because because her dogs will most likely be the ones that will get hit by your Q. While yes, you can get your Q AoE damage on Naafiri, it is reduced damage because it is the AoE part of your Q. So yeah, that makes it a really hard matchup. She has a tool to get on top of you. She blocks your abilities, she blocks your E, she blocks your main Q damage. The only counterplay that you really have against her is when she uses W on you, there is a split second where you can throw your E at her if there is nothing blocking your E in the way, because once she casts Q, her dogs go behind her and then they all charge forward to you, and that makes Naafiri vulnerable because she's in the middle and she's in front of everything. Her dogs are behind her, her dogs are not protecting her. On that split second when she casts W on you, so you can use your E at her at that point to guarantee that you will hit her, but you must make sure that there is no other minions or obstacles like in the way to block your E, right? So yeah, really bad matchup overall. Nextly, Annie, really bad. She outrages you with from auto attacks. Really, especially because we're playing a team game. She has 2 point-and-click stance, which will guarantee that you will lose your flash if the enemy support or jungler ganks you. You can never really leave your tower. Really bad for you, especially into 1v1 scenarios after 6. She will have T-Burst. T-Burst blocks your Q, your E. Really bad. And yeah, overall, like a horrible matchup. Horrible matchup. Now for the next one, Phase. It's a really bad matchup. While yes, in the early game you can have the advantage. One, he can always dodge your E spell if he's good. Like if he's good at the game, he can always react and dodge your E, which is your main source of damage and self-peeling. He can reliably dodge it. He can jump on top of you really easily. He has high burst, which Zoe hates because she's really squishy. She gets burst down really easily, so she can die really easily. And Phase's ultimate is a really strong ability that if you have no flash to flash away from it during like let's say level 6 to level 8, 9 before you get like your defensive item option, like your 4th item, Phase is just you're gonna die if he hits your abilities and he dodges, and if you don't hit your E on top of him and he lands his ultimate, you're always dead. Really horrible matchup, really annoying as well. Now for Nico, another horrible matchup because she can always W your abilities. If you throw your E, if she has really good reaction times, she can always, when she sees that you're casting E on top of her, she can always W to block your E and your Q. Even if you hit your E on her, she can always cast her W before she goes to sleep, and she can direct her clone to block your Q from where it's coming from so that it doesn't hit her. It is really bad because, especially into the laning phase, she gets to reliably spam you and attack your health pool with her Q. Whenever you are walking up with your Q to clear the way or poke her, she can guarantee hit you with her abilities, her E and her Q, because she can easily tell where you're going to be pathing, where you're clicking. It's easy for her to land your skills on her, really hard for you to land your skills on her, and she can, even if you heal your E on her, she can counterplay with her W to block her Q. Really bad matchup, really bad matchup. Tristana, this is a really bad matchup because she can always use her W to buffer your E, which is the main reason this is really bad. Buffering your E ability, which is your main source of DPS and self-peeling, is really bad. She outranges you, she can easily push you on the tower and get tempo advantage. She scales really well. An overall really bad matchup for Zoe mid lane. And Heimerdinger really bad. He can always whenever you're using your Q on your E on him, he can always react and put down a tower and block your abilities. Really hard for you to hit him. Even if you get level 6 and you try to poke him from long range poke, he can always block your abilities with his turrets. He has long range poke. He can salve you on the tower really easily. He also has a reliable tool for ganking, which is his Z. If you get hit by it and someone else is there, he can burst you down by his own if you get hit by his Z, and if your teammates are hit by his ability, you are just dead. So that's gonna be it for Heimerdinger, and those, in my opinion, are like the most terrible matchups that I completely hate to play against once they are locked in by the enemy team. So yeah, bad matchups, but have counterplay. Diana, if she jumps on you, if you don't have flash, you are dead. She can easily just poke you down with her Q, and then she can all-in you and you will also die. The good thing about this matchup is that she gets really easily countered by items, and once you get level 6, you can easily poke her down from a range and she will not be able to jump on you if you land your, let's say, if you land like a long range, a max range Q on her with your ultimate, she cannot jump on you on your next Q rotation, and for that it's a bad matchup, but he has a lot of counterplay. For Galio is a champion. He has a magic shield on his W, he has really good taunt, really good engage. The thing about that makes this matchup bad is because because his main focus is to play around his teammates. So when he locks in Gallo mid lane against you, you can be sure that there are going to be enemies around that he's going to be peeling for that want to kill you. He has his Z to jump on you, he has his taunt to taunt onto you. Plus, if you land your E on him and he taunts you, because you're taunted, you will auto attack him and you will wake him up from sleep, and that also makes it really bad. He can also like go into side lane and gank really easily out of tempo and match. Even if you have tempo, you can just press ultimate, and yeah, it's not that good, but he gets easily countered. If you manage to get a lead, the champion is pretty much useless. You can always stomp him, and yeah. Now for Gunplank mid lane, really bad matchup, but it has counterplay. It's a bad matchup because he has his Q that he can poke you down, he has his W that cleanses your stun if you land your E on him, he has his W, it's oranges, and he doesn't get stunned anymore. This is basically what makes it a really bad matchup. He can also help his teammates with his global ultimate. And the counterplay, because this is not a terrible matchup because it has counterplay, which is your auto attacks, your passive auto attacks against his barrels. You can always destroy his barrels before he destroys them to damage you, because after you're using an ability, you get a passive proc, and Zeus's passive is an instant auto attack. It has no travel time. The damage is then dealt instantly to a target that you're auto attacking with no travel time. So that makes it so that when the barrel is about to die and Gunplank wants to hit it to deal damage to you, you can just proc a spell. You can throw a spell out and auto attack the barrel, and even if he's really close to the barrel, to hitting it, you will always proc it first because the damage from your passive is instant. And he will not ever, if you're good at Zoe, Gunplanks will never be able to land a barrel on you. And you can just chunk him out with your long range poke from level 6 onwards. So that's also really good. Kassadin, really bad matchup, but really bad matchup. A lot of players will put this into a terrible matchup, but I don't think it's a terrible matchup, because while yes, once he scales, there's nothing you can do. You can't really kill him in lane, but you get a lot of tempo advantage because he's playing Kassadin, right? You get to push wave and you get to do something on the map that pretty much makes sure that you're gonna win. And what's that? You do not win Kassadin lane by killing him or getting a lead from mid lane. Mainly from mid lane. The way you win against Kassadin is by making sure his teammates fall behind. Even if he gets to scale for free, if his teammates are behind and your teammates are ahead, he will be completely useless. You will just see him and he will just get bursted down and die. And the reason why this is also it's a bad matchup for that reason, because he also has his spell seal, he can dash away, he can dash on top of you, kill you really easily and stuff. Yeah, we all know how this works. But yeah, the way you win against Kassadin is you push your wave and you have a tempo, and you use your tempo advantage to make sure that his teammates fall behind. You invade his jungler with your jungler, you dive the enemy bot lane with your bot lane and jungler, you make sure you put wards into the enemy jungle. You just use your tempo advantage every single time to make sure that his teammates fall behind and your teammates get the advantage, so that you can make sure that you will win the game regardless if he's even or ahead, etc. Katarina, it's a pretty bad matchup because you can never really land your E on her if she's good. You can never really land your spells on her. The way that it's not a terrible matchup is because you get a lot of tempo from the early game, because he's playing an assassin and assassins are really weak in the laning phase. So yeah, you can use that tempo advantage that you get in order to make sure that she falls, that your teammates fall behind, kinda like Kassadin. You use the tempo advantage to put wards in the river, into the enemy jungle. The thing is that most Katarina players tend to run TP. Even if you scare miss and you go bot lane to dive bot lane, they can just TP into the bot tower or the top tower, and then even if you dive your opponents and you kill the enemy top laners as bot lane, then Katarina players do Katarina things and they can just clean up. So scare missing is not great against Katarina for that reason. But this is a matchup where you were going to be running exhaust. So into the Katarina matchup, you make sure you never throw your E out. You hold your E as long as possible. The moment you throw your E out and Katarina knows that your E is on cooldown is where you have lost this matchup. matchup. Never try to throw your E out. Never throw your E out first. Use your E reactively always, especially once he gets level 6. Because once he uses ultimate, then is your time to cast your to cast your E. Use your E really smart, hold it as much as possible. If you miss that spell, you're dead, especially if you don't have flash. So yeah. Now for LeBlanc. LeBlanc is a really bad matchup, but can also be like, it has a lot of counterplay as well, as it gets countered a lot by gold leads. Like if you manage to get a gold lead into LeBlanc, there's nothing you can really do, because if you land, let's say, a max range Q on top of her and you poke her down without you getting chunked, she can never really dash on top of you anymore, because you're just gonna kill her. The thing that makes this really a pretty bad matchup is that it is really hard to land your E on her, especially into really good players. Really good players will always react with their W with your like when they see you using your E, they will always just react with their W, and you can never really land your spells on land your E, especially your E. Your Q you can land, but your E is a spell that all the blank players tend to look out for in this matchup. And yeah, I mean, if you manage to get a gold lead, this is pretty useless, but if you are even, it's a LeBlanc favorite matchup for sure, because you can never really land your E on top of here. So now for Malzahar. Malzahar gets to push the wave really easily. We all know that. He has his passive spell shield, which makes it annoying for you to get your poke on him and to land your E on him. He also has his ultimate that can suppress you. But the thing is about this champion is that you can just spend 1300 gold to buy QSS, and he's completely useless. Like you can just buy Mercs and QSS, and the character is out of the game. If you get Mercs, QSS, and then Lost Chapter, and you keep on building into your normal build, this character is useless. And once you get those items, you get to contest pulls, and you can just attack his teammates, and he will just be useless. Now for Orianna is a champion that outranges you. Really bad matchups. She gets pushed really easily on top of Zoe. What you're gonna do into this matchup is that you're going to look out to survive into the early game and try to get as much tempo and squeeze as much tempo early game as you can with the tempo rune page and teleport, which is going to help you a lot with sustain and also and stuff, because let's say she's going to be trading with you a lot, she's going to chunk you out, you can just base TP, you use your Demon Dematerializer on the cannon wave to reset even if you don't have TP, so that makes it that's an alternative for you to survive the early game, because this matchup gets a lot better once you get level 6, because once you get level 6, suddenly she does not outrange you anymore. Yes, she still outranges you, but you can also fight back from a long range with your Q. You can if you land 1 or 2 Qs on her from max range with your ultimate, then you can all in here, and there's nothing she can do, especially if she doesn't have flash. So bad matchup, but it has counterplay to play around. Skilled matchups. Ahri, it's a skilled matchup. Why is that? Ahri is a skilled matchup because it's basically just play dodgeball. Literally, like if you dodge her spells and you land yours, you win. If you miss your spells and she lands hers, she wins. At level 6, you need to look out for your junglers and supports, because if they are around mid lane, she's level 6, you can just flash R EU. You can't really react to that and you will die. But if you are paying attention to the map and you are in a 1v1 scenario, this is a pretty skilled matchup, pretty straightforward. She lands her spells, she wins. She doesn't, she doesn't win. Same goes for you. Aksan. Aksan is a skilled matchup basically because you need to play around your range. Let's see, he gets to have push level 1, 2, 3, but once you get level 4 you start winning, especially because you're going to be getting balloons from minions, and if those balloons are pretty decent, you can fight back, you can also contest wave. Only need to really be careful is to not get chunked out during levels 1 to 3. If you get chunked level 1 to 3, you're kinda screwed, but if you're just looking out, if you're paying attention to get chunked from levels 1 to 3 and you prevent yourself from getting chunked and you have a really high HP bar, you can fight back from levels 4 and onwards. Plus, it's also skilled because really good Zoe players will be when Aksan uses his Z ability, you can always know where he's going to be in, right? If you imagine Naxani as like a circle, that he's going to be like dancing to the terrain, you know, then this makes it so that you know where he's going to be landing with his E, so that makes it easy for you to throw your spells and land your spells on him. Now for Anivia. Anivia is a really good matchup early on. All you need to really do, and why makes it a skilled matchup, especially during early levels, is because it's still just a dodgeball. If you dodge her Q, you win. If she hits her Q, she wins. That's all. This is the entire thing. If she lands her Q, you lose. Just try your best to dodge her Q early levels, and you should win this lane. At level 6, she gets to have tempo advantage, but into this matchup, you usually run the tempo rune page, so you get to match her push within your DMAT, so it's fine. Now for Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath nowadays is a character that you cannot really kill early on because of his passive and second wind and teleport. You cannot really kill Cho'Gath, but with this lane is even. He can't really kill you. You can't really kill him. It is basically a lane where you're playing dodgeball with your spells. You try to contest push with each other, and Cho'Gath scales. But if either your teams or the enemy teams is supports and junglers interact with mid lane, this is what makes this matchup really bad. Basically, whoever gets ganked first loses, and yeah, that's it. Irelia is a character that wants to chase you early levels, to kill you early levels with your dashes and her passive stacks. If you're looking at for her to not jump on you with full stacks, you're gonna be fine. You can always know where Irelia is going to be jumping with her Q, because she wants to jump into low health minions. So you can predict and throw your E at the minions that is going to be dodging for you to guarantee hit here. And if you are just potting her from afar and farming from afar, you will not really have an issue. But if you misstep and your positioning is not really good, she can devour you. So that is what makes it a skilled matchup. Lux, pretty straightforward. Just play dodgeball. She lands her spells, she wins. She doesn't, she loses. You land your spells on her, you win. You don't, you lose. Simple. Straightforward. TF is a skilled matchup. You need to basically have in mind to always, like, don't stand on top of the wave, because he can red card and deal damage to you. Always stand outside of the wave when he's hovering. Respect the fact that he has a gold card. Don't engage on him when he's holding into a gold card. Make sure that you know where the enemy jungle support is, so that you don't get ganked from them, because he has a gold card, really reliable spell, auto CC. Like point and click CC. So if your map awareness is good, he can never really kill you, and you can always sub him under tower and get a tap advantage over that. Yasuo matchup is really bad. It's really bad from level 3 onwards until level 6. From level 1, you have the advantage. Level 2, it's even, because he shouldn't have his W, so he cannot block your spells. At level 3 it becomes Yasuo favored, because she can just block your spells and sub you under tower. Until level 6 he has the advantage. At level 6 you can just kinda like farm and poke him from a distance, and from then on, once you start reaching higher levels, you become more useful than him, because you outrange him. Like, once the laning phase ends, if you are even or have a gold lead, you will most likely win the game against the Yasuo. If you are smart about when using your spells and you don't just throw your spells around him like a dumbass when he has a wind wall. And it's a pretty straightforward skilled matchup. If you play well, you win. Just make sure that you know when to play aggressive and when to play safe. If you just play around, like, let's say from levels 1 to 2, you can play aggressive if you want, but I wouldn't recommend. From levels 3 to 6, play safe. From levels 6 and onwards, you can try to fight back to get a gold lead. That's how you play this matchup. Now, for Xerath. Xerath is basically just a dodgeball. Dodge his spells, you win. He lands his spells, you lose. Simple as that. You try to push wave to get tempo advantage, and that's it. Ziggs, same scenario as Xerath. You're playing dodgeball, nothing new. And that's basically what makes those characters skilled matchups. If you play well, you can easily win. If you get hit by a lot of spells and you don't know when to play aggressive and when to play passively, they will stomp you. So that's what makes these matchups mostly skilled. Now for the good matchups. Now these matchups are pretty good. Some of you may have issues against Azir and Victor, which I'm gonna talk a little more about in comparison to the other characters here. So for Karma, you play dodgeball. Basically with your Q, empowered Q with her ultimate. You can easily land your spells on top of her. Once she cannot really contest push into you at any stage if you make sure that you have a minion advantage. She can never really fight back. On skirmishes, you're more useful, and this is basically what makes it a good matchup. Against Azir, Azir is a matchup where I was considering putting into a skilled matchup, but it really isn't. If you know what you're doing, it's a Zoe favored matchup. All you need to make sure is that you just shove the wave in from early levels. Most Zoe players will try to kill the Azir early levels. That's a mistake. Don't try that. Just push in waves. Just attack the minion wave. Attack the minion wave and get on tempo advantage. Azir is really bad at pushing waves early levels. Azir spikes really hard once the game goes onwards. So he spikes really hard with levels, with like points into his abilities, and he spikes really hard with items. So what you do is you make sure that you shove him under tower on early levels, and you use your tempo to get a lead for your teammates. You put wards in the jungle, you attack the enemy jungler, you invade the enemy jungler because, as we said, Azir is not good early game, his cooldowns are really high, and if you force skirmishes into the early game with your tempo, what's gonna happen is that Azir will be stuck under tower farming, and because he's playing Azir and he wants to AFK farm to get his items, he's not going to most likely help his teammates, and that's going to result in you getting a lead for yourself and your team, and that's basically what's going to get you the win against Azir. That's the big part. Don't try to kill Azir in lane. Yes, you can kill him from level 6 onwards, and if he's really bad, you can kill him during the laning phase as well, but against good Azir players, don't try to kill them in lane. Do yourself a favor and just make sure that you always have tempo from the wave, and make sure you always have the first move on the map, and just make the map a pure hell. Like, make the map a living hell during the early to mid game, and you will always win against the character. Fight as much as you can, and yeah, it's really not that hard of a matchup, man. Just get tempo advantage on mid lane, and just make sure that his teammates fall behind, and you're gonna be fine. Echo. It's a really good matchup. All you need to be looking out for in this matchup is to not get stunned by his W. Watch out where his ultimate ghost is at, so that he doesn't press ult and one-shot you. And level 1, a lot of Echo players tend to go Hell of Blades and start T level 1 and jump on top of you. If you see an Echo player have Hell of Blades and start T, make sure that you do not put a point into your Q until you see him cast Q himself, so that if he starts here and he jumps into you level 1, you can, instead of leveling up you level 1, you can level up E first, and you can react to him jumping on top of you and throw your E at him, and to protect yourself from him jumping into you, and you should win the trade and the lane if you do that. From then on, it's just basically just a free matchup. You always have push. Once he gets a little more ability power, he can one-shot waves and he can match your tempo, but like, Zoe is better into the skirmishes than Echo, so just make sure that you just fight from a distance, don't get chunked, always have tempo, and you should be fine. It's a pretty good matchup. Now for Gragas, Mr. Gragusi. For Mr. Gragas, it's basically a resource battle, and this is the kind of matchup that I would recommend the tempo on page. Just make sure that you get push on the wave, you get tempo, because it's a melee versus ranged matchup. You should have tempo. You should always be the one who pushes him the tower. All you need to really be careful about is when he gets level 6 to not get ganked and die, especially during the early game. Like, make sure to put a ward into the enemy raptors or something, or into the river to protect yourself from like support or a jungler roaming, and because she can just flash you and you can die if someone from his team is there to help kill you. So make sure you have really good map awareness against this matchup, and you should be fine. You can just scale for free, and once you get a couple of items, you can just hungry to zero him really easily. So not a hard matchup. Now for Pantheon. Pantheon is a really interesting character actually. basically. It's a good matchup though, because what a lot of Zoe players will do is Pantheon's mid lane will most likely play aggressive with PTA Ignite, and they will start W level 1s up into you with the power W. Just do yourself a favor and start E level 1 yourself if they do that, and once you see them cast W on top of you, react and use your E on top of them, and you will just instantly win the trade, because it's a melee versus ranged matchup. So once you hit your E on him and he has no W to fight back, he will run, he will fall back, like he will run towards his tower, and you will always be able to auto attack him on his way there. So you will always get more damage done to his health bar than he will on your health bar. So after that, like it's just play around his W cooldown, and you should be fine. At level 6 he can roam, but because you can easily get waves pushed into his tower, you can always roam first before he roams. Now for the Sylas matchup. Sylas matchup is a really good matchup, mainly because it's a champion that wants to play safe and get items and levels to scale, so you always get to have priority on the wave and be able to use your lead to interact with the map and get an early lead for yourself and then the game faster. And what also makes this a really good matchup is that he doesn't have a useful ultimate out of you. Zoya doesn't deal damage, really useless ultimate for Sylas, especially during team fights. So this is like a pretty straightforward counter pick into Sylas Zoe champion. So yeah, pretty free matchup. Really good. Victor is a really interesting matchup. You go the tempo rune page against Victor. You make sure that you do not die early levels by making sure that you base at the correct times and use your TP. Try to CS as best as you can early on. Early on, you will most likely not have priority if you do the Victor is doing something bad. If the Victor is good, you will never have priority. Once you get level 6, you can try to kill him 1v1 easily. If you land a bubble on him and your jungler is there, he will lose his flash or he will die. He's an immobile control mate, so if you ever land your E on him, he's gonna die, especially if he doesn't have flash. So just make sure you don't fall too far behind early on, and once you get level 6 onwards and you get a couple of items, you can easily just shove him on the tower, and yeah, you can easily just get an advantage out of him. Hui, exact same scenario as Victor. Make sure he doesn't poke you a lot. You go for the inspiration tree, you go for tempo rune page, you make sure he doesn't poke you a lot out of the lane early on, you make sure you CS, and once you get to your level 6, same as Victor, you all in him and you land your E on him. He has no escape, even if he doesn't have if he doesn't have flash, he's gonna just die. And yeah, you play Hui matchup just like you would play Victor matchup. Now for Kiana, Talon, and Zed, it's pretty straightforward. They're all 3 assassins. You go the burst rune page, or like the anti-burst rune page into them. You always have tap advantage early on because you will be able to push the wave. So you into these matchups, you just go exhaust and the anti-burst rune page, and you solve the wave first and you interact with them up before they do, and you should be fine. And yeah, that makes that is the end of the good matchups. So let's move on into the free matchups. This is basically if your enemy laners ever pick those champions against you, you can be sure that you will have a free laning phase and free game overall, because they don't really like make a big threat on top of you if you know what you're doing. Asol, really straightforward. Zoe is a really strong early game character, so Asol is a really bad matchup because even you get to shove him, he's really squishy. If you land your E on him, you can just half HP him with one spell rotation and kill him on the second one. Really free matchup. He's really bad early. You can abuse that to get a lead into the entire map, and yeah, he has no counterplay. It's just a really good matchup. You can basically just kill him at all the stages of the game for free. Cassiopeia, it's basically just if you just need to land your E on her, and because Cassiopeia's is not that strong early on, so just make sure that you get your level 3, level 4, and you can kind of just shove her on the tower, and she's not that good into early skirmishes. All you need to watch out for in this matchup is not get crowd controlled by her ultimate, and you need to have decent map awareness to know where the enemy support and junglers are, because if she W's on top of you, you cannot flash out of her W, so you will die to her teammate. You will die to a gank if you're not paying attention. So if your map awareness is good and you make sure you don't get succeeded by her ultimate, this makes a free matchup for Zoe. Really good matchup. Corki, pretty straightforward. You easy early game. You shove him on the tower. He's really squishy. If you land your spells on him, he's gonna die. At all stages of the game, nothing else to add here. Kale, same scenario. She has really bad MR. You ever land your spells on her, she's gonna die. You always have her under tower. She can't really do anything. And yeah. Lissandra, all you need to be careful about Lissandra is to have good map awareness. Just make sure that you know where her jungler and support is whenever you try to play aggressive against her. If you know where her jungler and support is, you can always sub her in the tower and play aggressive, try and kill her with Ignite. And yeah, it's overall a free matchup as long as you have really good map awareness. Now for Ryze, Ryze is like this. You play Ryze kinda like you would play around a Cassiopeia. Just make sure that you know where his teammates are so that you don't get ganked because he has a point and click W that you cannot really flash away from. And yeah, you should have push. The only point where this matchup becomes even is at level 6, because at level 6 he can easily get match your push and he can roam before you roam with his ultimate. So as long as you watch out for his level 6 power spike and his lost up there, let's say power spike, like you will be fine. Pretty free matchup because you also outrange him, right? Now let's talk about Seraphine. Seraphine, really straightforward. She cannot really ever kill you 1v1. The only way she can kill you is at level 6 with the help of your teammates. You can always one-shot her as long as you land your spells on her, and you can easily match her wave clear, and this is just a pretty straightforward free matchup. Swain, pretty straightforward. Really easy matchup. Just make sure you don't get hit by his E, and you will always have push. You will always be able to burst him down. Even if he casts his ultimate, you can easily burst him down with Ignite. Not a big deal. Really straightforward and free matchup. Talia is a champion that can really easily get push. You will find yourself not being able to get priority on the wave, but if you ever land a singular E on her, it's GG for her. If she gets hit by one of your spell rotations, your entire spell rotation, like electrocute, E, passive autos, Q, like she cannot ever really lane because you can just all in here and kill her. So this makes it just a pretty straightforward free matchup. Now for Veigar. Veigar is a character that scales, plays safe early on, so you get to always have push into Veigar. You can attack his teammates and play for tempo, and you will always be able to fight back. Even if he gets a couple of stacks, you can always one-shot him if he doesn't build a lot of MR. And yeah, it's a pretty free matchup overall. Vel'Koz, really straightforward. You want to play the Vel'Koz matchup kinda like you would play a matchup like, let's say, Talia. He can easily get push with his W, but as long as you land one E on him, he cannot lane anymore. All you need to do into both of those matchups, just land your E on them once and they cannot really lane. You land your E on top of them once, you chunk them, and on the next spell rotation you can easily kill them. Vex, this is just a matchup where you just need to dodge her fear. You dodge her fear, she's useless. Dodge her fear, you get to, because Vex has to make a decision. She either uses her fear to push the wave, or she uses her fear to attack you or protect herself. So if she decides to use her fear to attack you, you can push the wave and shove her on the tower, and then you can use your tempo to attack them up. If she uses her fear on the wave, you can just walk at her face and trade with her, and this is basically what makes the really free matchup. You just react to how she uses her fear, you play around it, and you shouldn't have any issue. Now for Vladimir is a matchup where he has a lot of sustain, but as long as all you need to look out for is to make sure that you don't get ganked, because especially once you get level 6, once he gets level 6, he can kinda just run you down under your tower even. So just make sure that you don't get zunked a lot, and you should always have push. You can one-shot him if you land your E at him once, and this is just a straightforward free matchup. As long as you don't get zunked and you just play around your wave and around his weaknesses, which is basically his W. Like if he uses his W, he's useless. You can kill him. If he reacts to his W, even if he W's your E, you can still fight him because he has no escape. Especially if he doesn't, because most Vladimir players don't run flash. Some Vladimir players go ghosted. teleport, some of them go Ghost Ignite. Even if he has flash, like if he has flash, if he doesn't have his W, he's useless. Now for Syndra matchup, some of you will be really surprised that I put this in the free matchup. Some of you think this is a really hard matchup for some reason. I believe this is a really free matchup. All you need to look out for, like, this is normally I would put this on for some people. Like for some people, this is like a terrible matchup or like a bad matchup. But like I was considering putting it into like good or skilled, but honestly, it's free. Like it's not that hard to play around it. All you need to do is go mercs, rush mercs, and dodge here, and just have really good micro. As long as your micro is good, the way that you move, the way that you click, because you can easily tell when Syndra wants to cast her Q. You can easily predict that. So just make sure that you rush mercs, that you get some items and stuff here in the tower, and because she's playing an immobile burst mage herself, once you land one spell rotation on her, she cannot really lane anymore, and you can just here the tower. Once you get level 6, just make sure you land one combo on her, or like one max range Q on top of her, and on the next spell rotation you can just kill her. Like it's nothing new. Even if she lands here stun on you, if you have mercs, it's not gonna last long, and you can just flash on her and kill her. It's a really straightforward, easy matchup, and most players will find this hard, but it really isn't. And yeah, that's going to conclude like the matchups tier list. If you guys have any other questions about those matchups, I will be glad to answer them in the comment section. So yeah, make sure to drop a comment to let me know for any other questions into all of those matchups. So let's move on into actual gameplay. So now we are on Summoner's Rift. Woohoo! We have reached this part of the video where I'm gonna talk about combos. I'm gonna talk about what Zoe's spells do, and some little tricks that will definitely help you into a lot of matchups and to get the advantage. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. So first of all, Zoe's spells. Her passive, really straightforward. Whenever you use an ability, you get to do extra damage on your auto attacks, which is an instant damage, which means it doesn't have any travel time. Really straightforward, really easy to use, and really easy to understand passive. For her Q, it's basically a projectile, and your Q is imagine a circle around Zoe. Imagine a circle, which is like you use your Q. Like this is like imagine this circle. So you use your Q, and whenever you move, whenever you go with one, like you just need to imagine this circle. Let's say you use your Q, you have a circle around you. Like the max range of this ability is always going to be around your Q. I see a lot of new Zoe players struggle with this. This circle is basically your max Q range at all points. So basically if you throw your Q out over here, then the max range of your Q is going to be on the other side of that circle, right? Over here. Like this is the circle of your Q. So it's what you need to understand about this is you just throw your Q and then you walk, and then you can just throw your Q at the max range of this circle. Basically you can just imagine you have a big circle at all stages of the game around you, and that's basically where your Q is going to go when you recast it to throw it out at someone. Pretty straightforward, really easy to understand once you get a couple of Zoe games into your match history, and yeah, it's really not that hard. Now, for your W is basically whenever you can get balloons from minions. If you kill those minions have a chance. Those minions will drop either summoner spells or items that you can use. Really straightforward, really easy. Whenever your opponents, the enemy champions, use items or they use their summoner spells, they get dropped on the ground. You can just go pick them up and use them yourself. What to keep in mind about this spell is that it procs your passive. So let's say I use my Q and I get a passive proc. If I have a W active, okay, let me show you actually this with minions. So let's see. Once I use my W, so what Zoe passive reads is whenever you use, after using an ability, Zoe's next attack deals additional 26 damage. My W is an ability. It's an ability, so when you use your W, you get a passive stack, as you will see. The thing is that a lot of players don't know the interaction that whenever you use your W, let's say like whenever you use your W and you get the passive stack, your passive actually gets consumed by your little balloons. Like whenever, like let's say I have these balloons, if I have passive and I have these balloons around me, these balloons will, like let's say, like my W does 26 damage, my W does 26 damage and my passive deals 26 damage. So if I use my proto belt, I will get a passive stack, and if a balloon attacks the thingy, look at this, boom, the little W balloon consumes. Not only does it do the damage of the W, but it also does the damage of my passive, right? It consumes my passive. So, like, in a team fight, you can do this, you can just spam your W, and as long as you make sure that you land one W on your opponent, you can just always apply passive and passive and passive and passive on top of your W's. Like, it's really OP, it's really strong. That's why Zoe W, like, that's why a lot of players are frustrated that Zoe can kill you even if she doesn't land abilities. I'm sure you have heard that before. It is because of this interaction. It's not because Zoe, I mean, Zoe does a lot of damage, but it's not because her W itself does a lot of damage. It's because of this interaction where her W reprocs her passive over and over and over and over again. So in a team fight where there are a lot of items and spells around a lot to use, you can just basically reproc your passive with W over and over and over again and deal a lot of damage, a lot of passive damage, which is really strong if you're paying attention to it. So now for her E. So now for her E, really straightforward. It's a projectile. You throw it. It goes on the ground. On the ground, it becomes a trap. If someone steps on top of it, he gets put to sleep for 2.5 seconds. And whenever you wake up that target with an ability, it will deal true damage to it. As you read the ability, it reduces magic resist. So if I hit this target dummy with my E, okay, let me put some MR into this dummy. So let's see, it has 20 MR. I land my E on it. Now it gets reduced to 14, so it reduces 30% of the target's MR, and it also does true damage whenever you hit. Boom, you do 76 damage. I mean, I dealt a little bit less damage because this dummy has MR. So basically, one thing you need to be paying attention to about Zoe is that it basically mirrors it basically doubles the damage of the ability that wakes the target up. Let's say I land my eye on this guy. If I wake him up with my auto attack, it's going to do significantly less damage, right? Because I'm basically waking him up with my auto attack, so it basically mirrors the damage of my empowered auto attack. It doesn't do that much damage. But if I wake a target up with my Q, it doubles my Q damage, right? It's really strong. It does more damage my E does more damage basically on how much damage is the thing that wakes it up. Like, let's see, I throw my E, boom, and I hit my Q. More damage, I throw my E, I wake up with auto. Way less damage. Straightforward. Really straightforward. So make sure to always wake up the target with your Q and then auto attack. Because, like, I see a lot of players that do the mistake to, like, they throw the Q, then they aim the Q to wake up the target, but before their Q hits the target, they wake up the target with their passives. So, like, what noob Zoe players will do is that they will wake up the target with their passives before their Q lands to wake up the target. So let's say I wake up through the A, Q, auto Q. So right there, my A did not apply on my Q. My A applied on my auto attack. So, like, let me do this again. Boom. See? Really low damage. Okay, let me do this. Okay, so A, Q. See? That is a total of 185 DPS for a total of 376 damage. Now let's do it. Let's do it differently. Let me throw my E, and I make sure that Q is the first thing that wakes up the target. More damage. See? So basically, make sure that your Q is the ability that wakes up the target and not your passive or an auto attack or anything else really. So yeah, look out for that, because, like, a lot of Zoe players, out of pure habit, they will just when they throw their Q, they will not wait for their Q to hit the target, and they will auto-attack the target, and they will wake them up, and you will lose a lot of DPS from that. So just look out for that. Make sure that you always wake up the target with your Q and not your passive. And yeah, another thing about the ability, of course, the most common thing is that it goes through walls. Boom, you can throw it out to block choke points. Like, let's say someone is fighting around this area and I am trying to help my teammates that are fighting. I can just aim my E, throw it here, and I either block this entire area from everyone entering or leaving, or I hit someone, right? Because it travels through walls. So what I do is, what I recommend is that for you to always have a keybind for you to normal cast your E. For me, it is my mouse wheel. So like, I can, if I just press C, it's on quick cast, but if I press mouse wheel, it's on normal cast. So I do that to make sure that I can always reliably throw my E like over this wall. Like I use normal cast over this wall to get angles over like this. I use normal cast over this wall, right? Because if you don't normal cast right like this, you will most likely just throw your E into the dragon pit. But if you just if you're trying to help your teammates fighting over here, you can just walk over there, normal cast it, boom, easy. It's more, yes, it looks cool if you do it without normal cast like this, but like it's more reliable and consistent for you to have a normal cast on your E over those big wolves, right? In order for you to consistently hit targets from those angles, you should have normal cast because it's just easier and more reliable than quick cast. So yeah. Now for Zeus's ultimate ability, level 6. It's basically just a blink and a dash. It gives you vision of everything around you, and that's it. That's it. That's it. You just dash forward, you get vision, and that's it. What you can do is that you can cast your summoner spells during your ultimate. You can do anything during your ultimate like you would normally. Just you can throw your spells, items, you can use your summoners, and yeah, that's nothing really special about your ultimate. It is just there to provide more power to your other abilities, and it really has really good synergy with your other abilities. And that's basically just it. That's basically just Zeus's kit in a nutshell. That's pretty straightforward and simple. There are a couple of things that you need to have in mind, like not waking up the target with a passive or like an item or a W. Make sure that you wake up the target from your E with your Q, your main source of damage, because it's going to be a lot more DPS. Because Zoe, as I said, basically mirrors the damage that wakes it up. So make sure you look out for that. And yeah, keep in mind that your W procs your passive. Your W balloons proc your passive. So yeah, that's basically it for Zeus's kit. Now, let's move on to combos. Zeus's combos. The first combo that you wanna learn is the most basic one. In order to proc your electrocute a lot faster, you Q, auto, you proc electrocute. The reason why you wanna do that is because each time you press Q, you get a passive, right? I cast Q, I get passive. I auto with passive. I Q again, I get another passive. I auto again with passive, right? So I see a lot of players, new Zoe players, they Q, and then they auto. No, that's wrong. Q, auto, Q, then auto. To make sure that you get the extra passive proc from your Q. Just make sure that you get 2 passive procs from your Q and not 1 for more DPS. It is just more damage if you do that. Like if you do this fast, like it looks like this, boom, 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 and you get 2 passives like that, right? It is really just so much more damage. Boom, 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 boom. Easy, not hard to do. So another combo that you wanna do is whenever you throw your E, make sure to auto, Q, auto, Q, auto. How many passive, like basically all about Zoe is make sure that you proc as many passives as you can. Whenever you use an ability, just auto attack. That's all you need to do. I use Q, I auto, use Q again, I auto. I use my E, I auto. I use my R, I auto, E. Simple. Every time you just have in mind, just make sure that you will have a habit of auto-attacking whenever you use an ability. Because it is basically just so much more damage. You will not do as much damage if you're not auto-attacking. Make sure you're auto-attacking as much as possible on Zoe. So another combo that you wanna do is that you E, auto, Q, Q, auto. Boom. Straightforward. And as I said, make sure that Q is the damage that wakes up the target, not your passive. So E, Q, 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 auto. Boom. Easy. Pretty straightforward. Another thing that you can do is that now with your ultimate, you can just do the classic, just throw your Q from Fog of War, Q, R, auto. And you can also you can sneak in your E there. So you can Q, Q, auto, E, and then you can just follow up with another Q. Right? Because once you get a little more CDR, like let's say I have some items. So like let's say I have max Q and I have 2 items. I have this, I have boots, and I have my horizon focus. What I can do is I can max range Q, Q, auto, E, and then I can follow up with another Q, right? Because I just have that much. Let me do it. Let me do it without the auto refresh cooldown. So you Q, auto, E, I wait a bit, I have another Q, Q, boom. And I get a lot more damage. I basically get 2 Q rotations with 1 rotation. Like from 1 R and T spell rotation, I get 2 Qs. So you Q, auto, E, I wait for my Q, they're asleep, I Q, auto, boom. Easy. That's another combo. Really high damage, really high burst, really easy to kill targets like that. Another thing that you can do on Zoe, another combo, is that you can cancel the animation of your E with your second part of your Q. Like normally your E has a cast time, right? So I cannot use my first Q and my at the same time, right? I cannot do that. Like if I press my keybinds, if I press my first part of the Q and my at the same time, nothing will happen. My E will not be casted, right? So it will basically I will throw my Q and then my E will start to happen. It will not throw them at the same time, as you can see. Like I press Q and at the same time. See, either my E will be thrown first or my Q will be thrown first. It doesn't happen at the same time. But if you use your Q and then you recast your Q with your E, you cancel the animation of your E with the animation of your second part of the Q. Because Zoe has 2 Q animations. One where she throws out her first Q, and the second one when she redirects it. So on the second one, when she redirects her Q, you can press your E and you can cancel the animation of your E. So you Q, E, and you basically cancel the animation of your E. Q, E. Boom. And it's also really hard for your opponents to see your E coming, right? So you Q, E, boom. You cancel the animation of your second part of you cancel the animation of your E by doing that. Really straightforward, really easy. And so, yeah, I mean that's the most basic combos I guess that you can do, and like the little tricks and the little trick from canceling your canceling your E animation. I mean, another like little combo I just did is that you can just redirect your Q, R, and you just cancel your E animation, as I said, with that. Boom. So you Q, R, Q, E at the same time to cancel your E animation. Auto. Again, Q, R, Q, E. Okay, I didn't hit the target, lule. Okay, so basically you Q, R, Q, E, boom. Or you can just do it like Q, R, Q, E, and you can sneak in and out of there if you're fast enough. I mean, so yeah, that's like the most basic combos. Like there's not much to say. Not much else to really any more combos to teach you other than those basic ones. Just auto, just Q, Q, auto, E, auto, R, R, auto. But Zoe, if you want to ult someone plus to ult someone and T him, will just ult and T, right? A bad Zoe. A good Zoe will R, auto, E, right? And then you get another auto, and then you can just follow up with like a Q auto, right? So it's not, it's really that simple. The character is not that hard, but it's not that simple either. Like there are a couple of things that you need to be looking for, but like once you get used to it and you put some games into it, it just becomes muscle memory at that point. So like it's not that hard. So I mean, yeah, I mean there's not that much else to say about combos. I mean that's basically it that you wanna do, that you wanna know. Just remember that your summoner spells also grant you stacks from W, even though your spells does not, when you use your spells, because they're not abilities, they don't give you passive, which your W would have. Like if you cast a summoner spell or an item from your W, you will get passive, but from summoner spells you do not get a passive. Like if you flash, you will get balloons, but no passive, right? So yeah, keep that in mind. And yeah, that's basically gonna conclude this guide. I mean, there's not much else to talk about. We've talked about runes, items, matchups, the basics of in-game, some little tricks about the E and the W ability, and I mean, yeah, there's not much in depth into this champion after that. I mean, this is basically the most basic stuff that's gonna help you climb. I mean, there is a couple of more things that I can talk about, but it is not really that important to you guys. I believe it's not gonna help you a lot in your climbs, because I mean most of you just wanna climb to, like, let's say high diamond or a masters, right? Even if you wanna climb even if you're a Zoe player and you wanna climb to challenger like myself, most of the combos, like the really in-depth combos, I don't do myself in challenger because they're just not reliable and they are easy to like not replicate, and you can miss them and then you will have wasted an E, and your E has really high cooldown, so like missing your E pretty much means that you are a useless champion for the next 9 seconds or however many seconds your E ability is, right? So I mean, yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day here. If you guys have any questions, make sure to go down in the comments and ask me any questions. I will try to answer every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching this guide, and yeah, I mean, I hope I will catch you on stream sometimes. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to leave a like, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.